Morning. Today we are going to talk about place value up until the billions. And place value is actually really easy if you remember the different places and remember that they all repeat. So what we have here, I drew a large number here, and I have all of the places from 1 to billions. Now what you'll notice is that each one of these periods, we call a period, right here, a group of 3 places, and you saw that in the animation that started off the lesson. So a period is a group of 3 places. Each period repeats ones, tens, hundreds, and then when you get to the comma, it changes the name. So first we start with ones, tens, hundreds, and then we see a comma right here, and that changes the name to now we're working with the thousands. So you'll see I added the thousands here. Still repeats though, ones, tens, hundreds, just with the thousands. I get to a comma, changes the name now to millions. So 1 million, 10 million, 100 million. Place values repeat. It's always ones, tens, hundreds, and then a name change. Ones, tens, hundreds, change the name to thousands. 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, name change to millions. 1 million, 10 million, 100 million. So when you're remembering places, the key things you want to remember are ones, tens, hundreds. So we go from right to left. So smallest place is here. The biggest place is over here on the left-hand side. And then you want to remember that when you see a comma, you have a name change. So first comma, thousands, next comma, millions, next comma, billions. So you always want to remember that the commas change the name, and it's really easy. It repeats ones, tens, hundreds. There's nothing tricky about place value. You just need to remember ones, tens, hundreds, comma changes the name. Now, also in the lesson, we're going to talk about standard form versus expanded form versus word form. So we have 3 different ways that we read numbers. It's the same number, we just read it either by writing it down in letters, we read it either by expanding it out into the pieces, each place gets its own piece, or we read it how it's normally written, how we would write it when we're working. This number and any number is really easy to figure out the place and to figure out how much each place represents if you say the number out loud slowly. When you say the number out loud slowly, you actually hear how much each place represents. For instance, if I take a look at just the second half of this large number, if I read this with just these 6 numbers, I get 567,000. Remember, the comma tells us the name. 567,890. If you say that number slowly, you hear how much each digit represents. 567,000. So 500,000, 60,000, 7,000. You actually hear it. 567, and then because it comes right after this comma, 1,000. 890, because there's nothing, it's just a 0 here. So if you say your numbers out loud slowly, you will actually hear how much they represent. If I use this whole big large number, and I'm standing outside so you can see the number, I get 1 billion, here's the comma, tells me what name I have to say, 1,234,000,000, the comma tells you to say the name, 567,890. When you say the numbers out loud slowly, you will hear how much each place equals. Let's take a look at a couple numbers. So I'm going to erase this. All right, let's try this number. All right, so if I take a look at this number, I get 206,000, the comma tells me to say the name, 419. If I write this out in expanded form, to write out expanded form, all you do is write out each place separately. So this 2 is 200,000 plus the 0, which equals nothing, so there's no tens, no 10,000s. Come to the 6. This 6 is 6,000. Ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. So 6,000. Come to the 4. Say it out loud. You hear 400. Plus the 1. The 1 is in the tens place, so 10. Plus the 9, since the 9 is in the ones place. If you say this in the expanded form, all you're doing is writing out each separate place. So you represent how much each digit equals. This digit is 2, 200,000. It's in the 100,000s place. There's nothing in the 10,000s place. This is a 0. So then we go over to the 6,419. 1, 10, 9. You hear it when you say it out loud. So whenever you're writing expanded form, all you need to do is say the number slowly out loud and write down each digit, what it represents. 200,000, 206,419. That's how we write it out in expanded form. So expanded form is just showing each single place and how much each single place represents. Word form, that's really easy to figure out. It's just how you would write it if you were writing this as a number. So 200, and give me a second, it'll take a second. 200, well, let's do 206. 206, now give the name of the comma, 206,000. 419. So here we have word form. Here is expanded form. Here is word form. So the first would be expanded. The first would be word. It's very easy. The key thing to remember with place value is to simply say each digit slowly and then write down what each represents. 206,419. And remember that when you're talking about place value, you want to think ones, tens, hundreds, and a comma changes the name. Ones, tens, hundreds, comma changes the name. We get ones, tens, hundreds changes to thousands. Ones, tens, hundreds changes to millions. One, tens, hundreds changes to billions. But it's very repetitive. Go ahead and try some of the practice problems yourself and see how you do. Good luck, guys!